The message came without warning. It appeared on every screen across Earth at the same time. Phones, computers, tablets, billboards, and televisions all showed the same thing. An alien face looked out at the people of Earth. The alien had blue-gray skin, 4 eyes, and what looked like small branches growing from its head. Admiral Jaya Kim stood in the main room of Space Defense Headquarters. Around her, officers and technicians stared at their screens. Some gasped. Others went completely silent. Jaya kept her face calm even though her heart beat faster. After years of listening to space, searching for signs of alien life, the aliens had finally spoken. But this was not the friendly greeting everyone had hoped for. "Humans of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, "I am Speaker Mox of the Galactic Council. Our Federation of 27 advanced civilizations has been watching your world for some time." Jaya glanced at Lieutenant Hyunmoo Park, who was recording and analyzing the message. His face looked pale. The alien continued, "The Council has determined your species' technological advancement poses an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. Your quantum research has progressed too rapidly. Your artificial intelligence development has reached dangerous levels. You must surrender these technologies immediately or face complete isolation from the galactic community." The main screen showed images of Earth's newest quantum computers and AI research labs. Jaya recognized many of them, including some that were supposed to be top secret. "You have 72 Earth hours to comply. We await your response." The alien face disappeared, leaving government contact information on the screens. For 3 seconds, the room stayed completely silent. Then everyone started talking at once. How did they get into our systems? Do they really think we'll just hand over our tech? What do they mean by isolation? Jaya raised her hand, and the room went quiet again. "Get me the world president, now." 20 minutes later, Jaya sat in a secure video meeting with 50 of Earth's top leaders. World President Min-Ho Lee looked tired but determined. "Admiral Kim, what's your assessment?" he asked. Jaya spoke clearly. "Mr. President, the Galactic Council has been studying us for years without making contact. They know our capabilities very well, but they have never shown interest in Earth before. Why now?" Lieutenant Park, sitting beside her, spoke up. "They're scared of us, sir. We're developing too quickly. Our quantum computing breakthroughs last year were probably what got their attention." Jaya nodded. "I agree. They don't want a newcomer challenging their power." Dr. Soo Jin-yoon, Earth's leading quantum physicist, joined the conversation. "Our quantum computers are close to breaking the unified field problem. Once we do that, our technology would advance far beyond what we can imagine now. Faster than light travel would become possible within a decade." The defense minister frowned. "So they're trying to stop us before we can join them among the stars." "Exactly," Jaya said. "This isn't about protecting the galaxy. It's about controlling us." President Lee looked at each person on the video call. "I must now ask each of you directly. Do we surrender our research or do we refuse?" For the next hour, they debated. Some argued for compliance, saying Earth couldn't fight an alliance of 27 advanced civilizations. Others argued that giving up their technology would make humans forever second class in the galaxy. Jaya waited until most had spoken. "Mr. President, surrendering our technology means surrendering our future. We've worked too hard to give up now. And I don't believe they'll destroy us. If they wanted to, they already would have. They're afraid of what we might become, not what we are now." President Lee nodded slowly. "Thank you all for your counsel. I will address the people in 1 hour." Later that day, billions watched as President Lee stood before the United Earth flag. "People of Earth, today we received a message from beyond our world. The Galactic Council has demanded we surrender our most advanced technologies. They claim we pose a risk to galactic stability. But we know the truth. They fear our potential." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "For centuries, humanity dreamed of reaching the stars. We have overcome wars, disasters, and our own differences to unite as one world. We will not surrender the fruits of our hard work. We will not give up our future. Earth respectfully declines the Galactic Council's demands. Admiral Jaya Kim watched from her office, feeling both pride and worry. She had supported this decision, but she knew there would be consequences. They didn't have to wait long. Exactly 72 hours after the first message, Earth's long-range sensors detected strange energy readings at the edge of the solar system. Vast sheets of shimmering energy began to form, connecting like puzzle pieces. Jaya and her team watched the live feed from space telescopes. Lieutenant Park analyzed the data coming in. "It's some kind of energy barrier," he said. "It's surrounding the entire solar system." Within 6 hours, the barrier was complete. Test probes sent toward the barrier either bounced back or were destroyed. Communications sent beyond our solar system went unanswered. Earth was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. President Lee called another emergency meeting. "How bad is it, Admiral?" Jaya displayed the latest scans. "The barrier extends in a perfect sphere around our solar system, just beyond Pluto's orbit. Nothing gets in or out. They've put us in a cage." "So the Galactic Council believes they've contained the human problem," the president said quietly. Jaya looked at the data scrolling across her screen. Something caught her eye. A tiny fluctuation in the barrier's energy pattern. It appeared for just a moment, then disappeared. "Yes, Mr. President," she said, allowing herself a small smile. "That's exactly what they believe." She didn't mention the fluctuation. Not yet. Not until she understood what it meant. But for the first time since the crisis began, Admiral Jaya Kim felt a spark of hope. The barrier wasn't perfect. And if it wasn't perfect, humans would find a way through it. The Galactic Council had made a serious mistake. They thought isolation would weaken humanity. But throughout history, isolation had only made humans more resourceful, more determined, and more dangerous. The Council's ultimatum had failed, and soon, humanity would strike back. 3 months had passed since the energy barrier went up around Earth's solar system. Most people now called it the Wall. Some scientists spent all their time trying to understand it. Others gave up, saying humans would never break through such advanced alien technology. Dr. Ta Wu Li was not one of those who gave up. In a small windowless room deep inside Space Defense Headquarters, Ta Wu sat hunched over his computer terminal. Empty coffee cups surrounded him. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. For 3 days straight, he had been looking at the same data. Tiny energy readings from the wall. Most people saw the wall as solid and perfect. Tai Wu saw something different. Where others saw strength, he saw patterns. Where they saw a perfect prison, he saw tiny, almost invisible flaws. "You should rest," said his assistant, who brought another coffee. "You've been awake for 72 hours. "I can't rest," Ta Wu said, not looking away from his screen. "There's something here. I can feel it." The assistant left, and Tai Wu continued his work. Hour after hour passed. The patterns in the data started to blur together. Just as his eyes began to close, something caught his attention. "Wait," he whispered to himself. He sat up straight and typed quickly. "That's not right." He compared 2 readings taken 12 hours apart. They should have been identical, but they weren't. There was a tiny difference, so small that all the other scientists had missed it. Tai Wu worked faster now, pulling more data, comparing more readings. By morning, his desk was covered in notes, and his face showed a tired smile. "I need to see Admiral Kim," he told his assistant. "Right now." An hour later, Ta Wu stood in Admiral Jaya Kim's office. His hand shook slightly as he placed his tablet on her desk. "The barrier isn't uniform," he explained, showing her the data. "Everyone thinks it's perfect, but it's not. There are microscopic variations in its quantum structure." Jaya looked at him doubtfully. "Variations? What does that mean for us?" "It means the aliens aren't as perfect as they want us to think," Ta Wu said. "Their technology has flaws. And where there are flaws. He paused for effect. We can slip through. Jaya leaned forward. You're saying we can break the barrier. Not break it. Ta Wu corrected. The barrier is still incredibly strong, but these variations create tiny, let's call them thin spots. They appear and disappear in a pattern. If we can predict the pattern, we could send something through during a moment of weakness. How big would this something need to be? Jaya asked. Small, at first. A probe, maybe. But if my calculations are right, we could eventually send a ship. A small one, designed specifically to exploit these weaknesses. Jaya stood up and walked to the window. Outside, life continued as normal, but everyone knew they were trapped. How long until we can test your theory? Give me 2 weeks, Ta Wu said. I need to predict exactly when and where the next weakness will appear. You have 1 week, Jaya replied. While Ta Wu worked on the barrier problem, another discovery was being made elsewhere in the building. Intelligence Officer Yen-Ji Kang had been given a strange assignment. Look through all of Earth's astronomical data from the past century. No one expected her to find anything important. It was just something to keep intelligence busy while the scientists worked on the real problem. But Yen-Ji was very good at her job. She noticed things others missed. She started with recent satellite images, then moved backward in time to older telescope photos. At first, she found nothing unusual. Then she noticed something odd in images from 20 years ago. There, near one of Earth's top research facilities, was a small object that shouldn't have been there. It was partly hidden by clouds, and most people would have thought it was just a weather balloon. But Yen-Ji knew better. She dug deeper, looking for similar objects in other images. Soon she had a collection of strange sightings spanning decades. None had been properly explained at the time. When she applied the newest image enhancement algorithms to these old photos, the truth became clear. These weren't weather balloons or camera errors. They were ships. Alien ships. Yen-Ji worked day and night, gathering more evidence. She matched the sightings with major scientific breakthroughs on Earth. The pattern was undeniable. 1 week after Ta Wu's meeting with Admiral Kim, Yen-Ji requested her own meeting. They've been here before, she said, displaying images of unidentified ships near research facilities. The pictures showed small, nearly invisible craft hovering over laboratories, universities, and research centers. These sightings happened just before major breakthroughs in human technology. Here's one over CERN before the quantum field discovery. Here's another above Tokyo before the neural interface breakthrough. Jaya studied the images carefully. You're suggesting these are council ships? Yen-Ji nodded. And there's more. I found old signals that matched the energy signature of the wall. They were communicating with their homeworlds, sending data. She pulled up a timeline on her tablet. For centuries, these council species have been watching us, studying us, and I believe they've been stealing our ideas. That's a serious accusation, Jaya said. The evidence supports it, Yen-Ji insisted. They take our early research, develop it with their advanced technology, then act like it was their idea all along. They're not afraid we're dangerous. They're afraid we're better, more creative, more innovative. Jaya walked slowly around the room, thinking about what this meant. So the Council isn't worried about our technology harming the galaxy. They're worried about us outshining them. Exactly, Yen-Ji said. They've been taking our ideas for centuries. Now they've locked us up because they're afraid of what we'll think of next. Jaya stopped pacing. Her expression hardened as the full picture became clear. They put up the wall because they're scared of human creativity, of human potential. She looked at the images of alien ships stealing human knowledge, then at Ta Wu's data showing weaknesses in their barrier. Then let's prove them right, she said. It's time to show them exactly what humans can do when backed into a corner. She pressed a button on her desk. Get Dr. Lee in here immediately. And contact the world president. We're going to need a special team. Our best scientists, engineers, and pilots. The hunt for weaknesses in the wall had become something more. It was no longer just about breaking free. It was about showing the Galactic Council they had made a terrible mistake in underestimating humanity. 6 months after the wall went up, Earth was ready to strike back. In a secret underground hangar, Commander Su-Min Choi walked around a small, sleek spaceship. It looked nothing like normal Earth ships. This one had a smooth, dark surface that seemed to swallow light. The Phantom. Engineer Jun-Ho Kwon said proudly, "Our first stealth vessel designed to slip through the barrier's weak points." Su-Min ran her hand along the ship's surface. "It's smaller than I expected." "It has to be," Jun-Ho explained. "Dr. Lee's calculations show the barrier's weak spots are limited in size. But don't worry, it's fast and packed with our best technology." Su-Min nodded and looked at the other 5 identical ships in the hangar. "And my pilots. The best Earth has," Admiral Jaya Kim said, walking into the hangar. 6 ships, 6 pilots. You'll be the first humans to leave our solar system since the wall went up." "Our mission?" Su-Min asked. Jia displayed a hologram showing a large space station. "This is the Galactic Council's central communications hub. All information between Council worlds passes through here." "You want us to destroy it?" one of the pilots asked. "No," Jaya said firmly. "We're not starting a war we can't win. Your mission isn't destruction but revelation." She pulled up another hologram showing the evidence intelligence officer Yunji had gathered. Council ships stealing from Earth, secret meetings planning Earth's isolation. You will replace their communication systems with ours. Then broadcast this evidence to every world in Council space. Let them see how the Council has lied to everyone, not just Earth. Su-Min studied the mission details. A surgical strike. We go in quiet, change their systems, and leave before they know what happened. Exactly, Jaya confirmed. You leave tomorrow. The next barrier weakness appears in Sector 7. The next day, 6 pilots sat in their ships, running final checks. Su-Min's heart beat faster as she prepared for humanity's first strike against their captors. "All systems ready," she reported. "Remember," Dr. Ta Wuli's voice came through her headset, "the barrier weakness will only last 90 seconds. You must pass through exactly when I tell you." The hangar doors opened to reveal the night sky. One by one, the ships rose silently into the air. "Good luck," Admiral Jaya said. "The hopes of Earth go with you." The 6 ships accelerated upward, quickly leaving Earth's atmosphere. They formed a tight formation with Su-Min in the lead. "Stay close," she ordered. "We need to reach the barrier point together." For 3 days, they traveled through the solar system, staying hidden from any Council observers. Finally, they approached the edge of the wall. "Barrier weakness will appear in 30 seconds, Dr. Lee announced from Earth. Get ready." Su-Min checked her instruments. The wall looked solid, an endless shimmer of energy stretching in all directions. How could something so powerful have a weakness? 20 seconds. 10 seconds. She gripped the controls tighter. "Now," Dr. Lee shouted. Su-Min pushed her ship forward at full speed. For a terrible moment, she felt resistance, like pushing through thick gel. Warning lights flashed across her control panel. Then suddenly, she broke through. "I'm clear," she called. Everyone else. 5 voices confirmed they had made it. All 6 ships had passed through the wall. They were the first humans to leave the solar system since Earth's imprisonment. "Activating stealth systems," Su-Min ordered. "No communications unless absolutely necessary." The journey to the communications hub took another 4 days. They traveled slowly, careful to avoid Council patrols. When they finally reached their target, they hid behind a small moon to prepare. The hub was enormous, a massive wheel-shaped station with ships constantly coming and going. Thousands of communication beams connected it to worlds across the galaxy. "This is bigger than our intelligence suggested," Pilot Minky said. "The plan doesn't change," Su-Min replied. "We go in during shift change when their security will be distracted." 3 hours later, as a large transport ship docked at the hub, the 6 Earth vessels slipped in behind it, invisible to the station's sensors. Docking at access points, Sumin instructed, "Remember your assignments. Plant the devices and get out. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary." Each ship attached to a different part of the station. Sumin put on her spacesuit and grabbed a small bag containing Earth's most advanced technology, quantum computers designed to override and replace the hub systems. She opened her airlock and floated into the station through a maintenance tunnel. The other 5 pilots did the same at their entry points. The inside of the station was surprisingly quiet. Most of the work was automated, with only a few alien technicians monitoring systems. Sumin moved carefully through the corridors, following the map intelligence had prepared. Central server room ahead, she whispered into her communicator. 2 guards. She waited until the guards were distracted, then slipped past them into the server room. Inside, walls of blinking equipment controlled communications for the entire Galactic Council. Working quickly, Sumin placed Earth's devices on the main servers. The quantum computers immediately began to work, quietly replacing the hub systems with Earth's version. "Primary location secured," she reported. "Is everyone in position?" One by one, the other pilots confirmed they had planted their devices. "Activate the override," Sumin ordered. Communications officer Du Yun-Han, who had accompanied pilot Min Ki, connected to Earth's special signal. Broadcast beginning in 3, 2, 1. Across the galaxy, on 27 council worlds and hundreds of colonies, regular communications suddenly stopped. Screens everywhere showed the evidence Earth had gathered. Council ships secretly monitoring Earth, stolen human technologies, and recordings of council leaders planning to keep Earth isolated forever. The truth spread instantly to billions of beings across the galaxy. The Council had lied to everyone, not just humans. They had manipulated galactic laws to keep power in the hands of the oldest species while keeping newer civilizations dependent. The infiltration was flawless, Min Ki reported. "Every world in Council space is receiving our broadcast." "Then it's time to go," Sumin said. "Back to your ships." As the 6 pilots returned to their vessels, alarms finally began to sound throughout the station. But it was too late. Earth's systems were fully integrated, and the broadcast continued. Just as they prepared to leave, Du Yun-Han called out, "Wait, we're receiving transmissions, not from the Council, but from other worlds." "What are they saying?" Sumin asked. 3 different species want to talk," Du Yun reported excitedly. "They say they've been waiting for someone to challenge the Council. They want to help us." This was unexpected. The mission had been to reveal the truth, not to find allies. "Send their messages to Earth," Sumin decided. Admiral Jai needs to see this. Miles away, in the grand meeting hall of the Galactic Council, chaos erupted. The 27 representatives shouted over each other as screens displayed Earth's evidence. "How did they get through the barrier?" demanded one council member, a tall being with 4 arms. "Forget the barrier," shouted another. "They've exposed everything." "You said the younger species would never learn about our collection program," accused a third. The council leader, Speaker Mox, tried to maintain order. "We can fix this. We'll say it's human lies." "It's too late," said a younger council member, rising from her seat. "My world is already demanding answers. The truth is out." One by one, council members began to leave the chamber, rushing to contact their homeworlds. The unity of the Galactic Council, maintained for centuries through secrecy and manipulation, was shattering under the weight of exposed lies. Back at the communications hub, Sumin and her team slipped away during the confusion. They had struck a blow that no weapon could match. They had used the truth as their weapon, and it had worked better than anyone could have hoped. "Mission accomplished," Sumin reported as her ship cleared the station, heading home. But home would never be the same again. Earth was no longer alone in its fight against the Council. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had lit the spark. 1 month after Commander Su Min's successful mission, Admiral Jaya Kim prepared for the most important meeting of her life. She stood in her quarters, looking at her reflection in the mirror. Today, she would meet aliens face to face for the first time. "Are you ready, Admiral?" asked Lieutenant Hyunwoo Park. "As ready as I'll ever be," Jaya replied, straightening her uniform. "Is the diplomatic team prepared?" "Yes, President Lee has approved your negotiation terms. We're cleared to offer technology sharing in exchange for alliance." Jaya nodded. "Then let's make history." The journey to the meeting point took 3 days. Earth's newest ship, the Horizon, carried Jaya and her team through the barrier using Dr. Tawu's discovery. The ship was larger than the stealth vessels, built specifically for diplomatic missions. They docked at a small neutral space station in the outer reaches of the Centauri system. It was far from any major council world, chosen carefully to avoid unwanted attention. Jaya took a deep breath as the airlock opened. She stepped onto the station, flanked by her officers. The corridor led to a simple meeting room with a large round table. Waiting for them were the Rill. Jia had seen pictures, but nothing prepared her for meeting them in person. They stood on 4 legs, with 2 sets of arms and hard, shiny exoskeletons that looked like polished copper. Their eyes were compound, like those of Earth insects, but much larger. They clicked and hummed as they communicated with each other. "Welcome, humans," said one Rill, using a translation device. "I am lead builder Tiklar. We appreciate your willingness to meet with us." Jaya bowed slightly. "Thank you for taking this risk. The Council would not approve of our meeting." "The Council has not approved of many things," Tiklar replied. "Yet they have benefited from our architectural skills for centuries, while keeping us from the highest levels of galactic society." Jaya and her team sat across from the Rill. For hours, they discussed the situation. The Rill explained how the oldest council species, the Elders, had kept newer species dependent by controlling access to key technologies and trade routes. "Your broadcast opened many eyes," Tiklar said. "For the first time, younger species are questioning the Council's authority." Jaya listened carefully, then spoke. "Earth proposes something different. We offer partnership, not domination. Earth technology shared freely, in exchange for your architectural expertise." She displayed holographic examples of Earth's latest innovations: quantum computing, advanced AI systems, medical breakthroughs. "We believe in equal exchange," Jaya continued. "You help us build ships that can navigate Council space. We help you advance your own technologies without Council interference." The Rill discussed among themselves, their bodies vibrating with excitement. Finally, Tiklar turned back to Jaya. "For generations, we have built wonders for others while our own needs were secondary. Your offer treats us as equals." The Rill extended all 4 of its hands. "We accept your alliance, Admiral Kim." Jaya reached out and carefully took the alien's hands in her own. "Together, we begin a new chapter in galactic history." News of the Earth-Rill alliance spread quickly through unofficial channels. Within weeks, representatives from other species made secret contact. The Vorl, a race of philosophers with advanced medical knowledge. The Tenor, experts in energy technology who had been denied a council seat for centuries. Jaya traveled constantly, meeting with potential allies, building a coalition of the overlooked and underestimated. Each new alliance brought different skills and resources to Earth's cause. Back on Earth, Jaya reported to President Lee and the World Council. 7 species have now formally allied with us, she said. 5 more are in negotiations. The Council's authority is eroding faster than anyone expected. "What about the energy barrier?" President Lee asked. "The Tenor are helping us dismantle it sector by sector," Jaya replied. "Within 3 months, Earth will be completely free." Not everyone was happy about these developments. The Elders, the 3 founding council species, watched in growing alarm as their control slipped away. Emergency meetings were called. Threats were made. When those failed, they turned to military action. We're detecting a massive fleet gathering in the Proxima system, Lieutenant Park reported one morning. Over 200 warships. Intelligence confirms they belong to the Elder species. Jaya studied the images. They're preparing to attack Earth. They think if they destroy us, the Alliance will fall apart. Our defenses aren't ready for a fleet that size, General Sung warned. Jaya smiled slightly. Perhaps we don't need traditional defenses. She called in Hae-Yun Kim, Earth's top cybersecurity expert. For weeks, Hae-Yun had been working on something special. Is your project ready? Jaya asked. Hae-Yun nodded. Her eyes were tired from long nights of work, but she looked pleased. We've been studying Council technology since we got through the barrier. Their ships are advanced, but their security systems are outdated. They never expected anyone to challenge them, so they never improved their defenses. And you found a way in. Better than that, Hae-Yun said with pride. I've already infiltrated their weapon systems. I can disable their entire fleet with one command. Perfect, Jaya said. Let them come. 2 weeks later, the Elder fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. They broke through the remaining sections of the barrier with ease, their massive warships forming an intimidating wall of weaponry. On Earth, millions watched the sky with fear, but in Space Defense Headquarters, Admiral Jaya Kim remained calm. They're broadcasting, Admiral. Communications Officer Du Yun said. They're demanding our unconditional surrender. Put them on screen, Jaya ordered. The face of an Elder appeared, ancient, with skin like wrinkled paper and eyes that had seen millennia. Humans of Earth, your rebellion ends today. Surrender or be destroyed. Jaya stood tall. We will not surrender. But before you fire your weapons, you should know something important. She nodded to Hae-Yun, who pressed a button on her console. Across the Elder fleet, ship after ship reported the same problem. Weapon systems went offline. Targeting computers failed. The mighty armada suddenly hung in space, powerless to attack. Your weapons are disabled. Jaya broadcast to the Elder fleet. We could destroy your ships now if we wanted to. She paused. But we're not here to destroy you. We're here to change things. The Elder commander looked shocked. This is impossible. How did you? You underestimated us. Jaya interrupted. Just as you've underestimated every new species for thousands of years. That ends today. She sent a new transmission, not just to the Elder fleet, but to every world in Council space. The time for domination is over. Earth and its allies propose a new galactic agreement, one based on cooperation rather than control. You can join us in building this new future, or you can be left behind. The choice is yours. The Elder commander's face showed a mix of rage and fear, the look of someone seeing their power slip away after holding it for too long. Behind Jaya, her officers watched with pride. Earth had not won through superior firepower or violent conquest. They had won through intelligence, creativity, and the power of working together, the very qualities the Council had feared most. 5 years passed since the day the Elder fleet hung powerless above Earth. Much had changed in the galaxy since then. Admiral Jaya Kim looked at herself in the mirror and straightened her formal uniform. Today was the most important day in human history. Admiral, it's time, said Lieutenant Park, now her chief aide. Everyone is waiting. Jaya nodded and followed him through the gleaming corridors of the station. The Harmony, as it was called, was the largest space structure humans had ever seen. It floated at the exact center point between 5 major star systems. The Rill had built it using designs from all member species, a perfect symbol of cooperation. Jaya entered the grand chamber and paused for a moment, taking in the sight. The room was circular with a high domed ceiling, showing the stars beyond. Seats rose in tiers around a central platform. Each seat held a representative from a different world. 42 species had gathered today. Some looked almost human. Others were so different that humans had at first struggled to even communicate with them. Yet here they all were united. Jaya walked to the central platform where World President Min Ho Lee waited with the other founders of the new alliance. "Ready to make history again?" he asked quietly. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied. President Lee addressed the gathering first. 5 years ago, the Galactic Council tried to isolate Earth. Today, we gather to replace that council with something better, the Galactic Cooperative. One by one, representatives from key worlds spoke. Tiklar of the Rill described how architectural knowledge now flowed freely between worlds. A representative of the Tenor explained new energy-sharing programs that had brought power to forgotten colonies. Finally, it was Jaya's turn. She stepped forward and looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, or eye-like organs, of beings from across the galaxy. "When Earth received the Council's ultimatum, we faced a choice," she began. "We could surrender our technology and accept second-class status in the galaxy, or we could fight back and risk destruction." The chamber was completely silent. "We chose a third path, not surrender, not all-out war, but selective resistance and building alliances, because our greatest strength was never our technology," she continued, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "It was our ability to turn enemies into allies through mutual respect." Beings throughout the chamber nodded or made their species equivalent gestures of agreement. The old council ruled through fear and secrecy. They took from many and gave to few. The cooperative will be different. All members share knowledge. All have a voice, and no single species can control the rest. Jia held up a small crystal cube. "This charter, written together by all 42 member species, establishes the Galactic Cooperative. Today, we sign it and begin a new chapter in our shared history." The signing ceremony took hours. Each representative approached the center, added their mark to the charter, and spoke briefly. Some came from worlds that had been council members. Others had been ignored by the council for centuries. 3 seats remained empty, those reserved for the elder species. They had refused to join, still clinging to the belief that they should rule the galaxy. But their power was fading fast. After the ceremony, Jaya stood at a large observation window, watching ships come and go from the station. So many different designs, so many worlds working together. It still amazed her sometimes. She heard footsteps and turned to see Dr. Ta Wu Li approaching. He looked different now, more confident, less the tired scientist she had first met during the crisis. His work breaking through the barrier had made him famous throughout the cooperative. "Quite a view," he said, joining her at the window. "It is," Jaya agreed. "Did you ever imagine this when you were studying those barrier fluctuations?" Tuluwu laughed. "Never. I just wanted to find a way out. I never thought about what would happen next." They watched a massive Rill construction ship glide past, followed by a fleet of small human vessels. "They thought isolation would weaken us," Ta Wu said thoughtfully, watching ships from dozens of worlds dock at the station. "Instead, it forced us to become stronger than they could imagine." Jaya nodded. The Council's biggest mistake was not understanding humanity. Throughout our history, challenges have made us more creative, not less. "What about the elders?" Ta Wu asked. "Will they ever join us?" Jaya shrugged. "Maybe not the current leaders, but their younger generations are already pushing for change." Reports had been coming in for years now. On the elder homeworlds, young people had taken to the streets, demanding their governments join the cooperative. The old order had not fallen through warfare, but through the simple power of truth. Once ordinary citizens learned how their leaders had manipulated and controlled other species, they wanted no part of it. "I heard the Mavorians have overthrown their council representatives," Ta Wu said. "That's the second elder species to have a revolution." "The third is coming," Jaya replied. "It's only a matter of time." A small alarm chimed on Jaya's communicator. "The celebration banquet is starting. We should go." As they walked back toward the main hall, they passed representatives from across the galaxy. Each nodded respectfully to Jaya. Among the newer species, she had become something of a legend, the human who had broken the Council's power. "Admiral Kim," called a voice behind them. "A moment, please." Jaya turned to see Speaker Mox, the very same alien who had delivered the Council's ultimatum 6 years ago. He looked older now, his blue-gray skin more wrinkled, the branch-like growths on his head drooping slightly. "Speaker Mox," Jaya said formally, "I didn't expect to see you here." "I am no longer a speaker," Mox said. "My world has chosen a new representative for the cooperative." He paused. "I came to say you were right. The Council was wrong to fear humanity. We should have invited you to join us as equals." Jaya studied him for a moment. "It's not too late to build something better together." Mox bowed slightly. "Perhaps that is true. I hope to learn from your example." As he walked away, Tawu looked at Jaya with surprise. That was unexpected. "Change comes to everyone eventually," she said, "even those who resist it the most." They continued to the celebration, joining the representatives of 42 worlds as they toasted their new alliance. Music from a dozen planets played while beings who had once been enemies now talked and laughed together. Jaya stood for a moment, taking it all in. Then she looked up through the transparent ceiling at the stars beyond. They were no longer distant and unreachable, but the backdrop for humanity's greatest chapter, one where humans had not conquered the galaxy, but had helped remake it into something better. The end.